this Guusto webinar all about the power of purpose and how recognition and giving back fuels meaningful work. My name is Skay. I'm one of the founders here at Guusto, and I'm joined today by Ernanek Duran, President and CEO over at OneDrop Foundation. Foundation that we're very fond of partnering with. Every time a Guusto gift is sent out, we make a donation to the organization. They do fabulous water projects all over the world. And so maybe Ernanek, you could provide a little bit of an introduction to the audience.
Absolutely, Sky. Thank you very much for the invitation to join this Guusto webinar. We are so honored of being partnering with you. I know we've been partnering for a very long time, since 2014, and we're very honored of being partners of Guusto. What I can say about OneDrop? Well, we turned 18 this year. And our mission is very simple yet very powerful. So we want to make sure that every single human on Earth has access to safe drinking water. And you've been great supporters of this cause through your own why, through your own purpose and mission. So this has been a great journey together. We have been working. I think we already achieved more than. We've been working more than 15 countries now, ranging from India, some countries in Africa, Latin America, and Canada, and supporting communities, working with them, co-designing projects that make sense to them, that are culturally appropriate for them, and that adapt to each one of their challenges that they are facing. So we want to see ourselves as partners with communities, and we build these solutions together with them. And I think something that it's a key differentiator for OneDrop is we do this through arts. We integrate arts and culture in the way we work and in the way we engage with communities and co-build these sustainable solutions to make sure that they have water forever.
Fantastic. As folks are joining us, I see Tyler has kind of jumped in the chat here to just let us know where she's kind of joining us from. So feel free to kind of put your name and where you're joining from in the chat there as well. If folks have questions that they'd like to ask Ernanek along the way, please put those in the chat, and we'll be happy to kind of tackle those as we go here. So with that introduction, Ernanek, I'm excited to kind of get into this topic with you about kind of meaningful work. You obviously work for kind of a nonprofit, and there is kind of a deep sense of purpose in the work that you're doing there. When you think of meaningful work, like how do you, in your career, whether that's at a nonprofit or other, how do you think about personally kind of like connecting purpose in the role for various people at the organization?
Yeah, so this is something very important for people to find our purpose in life. I found it. I was very fortunate to find it like very long time ago. I was meant to be an engineer and work in the business world, but destiny had something very different for me. And I in one of my first jobs, I was able to witness firsthand some injustices in terms of how people live and some living conditions of people, of Mexicans near to my house, near in my city. And I couldn't unseen that. I couldn't go back, and I decided to do this as my profession as well. Integrating my personal purpose with my job, with my work, has been part of my personal and professional career for the past 20 years. So I think for me, it was very long time ago. But I think when we say meaningful work, it doesn't mean, oh, you need to go to a remote country or go somewhere and work in difficult conditions. I think we can make a difference in like people's lives in our everyday actions. And that can be like a simple thank you very much, or helping your neighbor to do something because you want to be just a good human, or it can be like me, that I decided to work in the foundation and nonprofit sector for my career. So for me, meaningful work is really having this purpose as a compass for the actions that we do at OneDrop in my current role. Our why is very simple. As I mentioned before, it's like really making sure that people have access to safe drinking water. And how can we make that connection to our day-to-day work? You know? And I think that's where purpose and meaningful work come together in our day-to-day actions, but with a clear idea that our actions, our job, our work has an impact further than our functions or daily functions, that we're having an impact in someone else's life, positive impact.
Yeah, I think you touched on a concept there, just clarity around the why, right? Why are we doing this? And Simon Sinek, really talks a lot about this. Kind of start with why. But at OneDrop, there's a clear why. There's a clear purpose, and so you're able to kind of inspire your employees through clarity around kind of why they're showing up to work, and tying. I think a big part of it is tying somebody's actual work to the impact that it's having on that why, right? And so maybe you can talk just a little bit about kind of what you do internally there at OneDrop. Let's say from like your accounting team to your marketing team. How are you, when you're leading the organization, really thinking about showing people what impact their work is having on that kind of larger purpose?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because it's very easy to get lost in the day-to-day operations and to forget, even for a foundation with a clear why.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our team gets absorbed by day-to-day, or by delivering the next event. I'm sorry, I had an issue here with my computer. Sorry. Yeah, so sometimes they are, closing the month for the financial team, or the events team. We need when is our next event coming up, and the rush of organizing and putting together a fundraising event. Sometimes it's very hard to keep the why in mind. So I think it's very important to go back to that why when we feel that we're getting lost. And we do it at OneDrop. We have like weekly meetings where we bring the whole team together, and I'd like to remind all of us why we're doing it. Our objective is clear, and our purpose is very clear, and all the pieces that need to come together, like accounting, events, marketing, and the people that works directly in delivering the impact, which is the programs people.
Mm-hmm.
We need to all understand why we're doing this. Why are we going, or why are we getting up every day to produce a new piece of communications, or to produce an event, or do something like that, and to be really in connection with people we are serving. Sometimes it's very easy to disconnect, to make that the day-to-day operations sometimes absorb you.
Well, you touched there on kind of like larger objectives, right? And so when you're bringing the teams together, being very clear about kind of, hey, what are the objectives either for this project or beyond the project? This quarter, this project kind of rolls up into this larger goal, and that can have a dramatic kind of impact on helping people see how their contributions are contributing to that larger goal that might roll up into the purpose. Now, I think it's also something, when I think about providing purpose to folks, getting clear and both kind of aligned on what the core values are at the organization. And one way that we do that internally here at Guusto, we're kind of in the recognition business, is tying a lot of the recognition that's going out either to a specific objective that we're kind of shooting for in a quarter, or to some of those core values that we're really trying to kind of reinforce throughout the day-to-day work. Talk to me a little bit about how you see kind of recognition playing a role either at OneDrop or in a past role to drive kind of kind of a sense of clarity around the purpose.
So recognition for me, it's a way of reinforcing, like reinforcing purpose. It's a way of when people see that their contributions are acknowledged, when people see that their contribution, or when they see that their actions or behaviors are validated, and that their efforts and work have a real impact, it really helps to reinforce the purpose of a company, or an organization. So at OneDrop, we like to celebrate milestones. We
Mm-hmm.
like to celebrate milestones, whether achievements in a program, or yesterday we had a fundraising event. So in our today's weekly meeting, we recognize the team that was behind that event. It was a very successful event. So like this verbal recognition and showing, like putting some light, like shedding light on this team that delivered this event. I think it's important, and that reinforces the purpose. But it's always important to say, but remember why we're doing this. This there is a bigger goal, there is a bigger why in the horizon. It's not only the event. Yes, it was great, but remember why we're doing this. And also, I think recognition, Sky, helps build engagement and trust of employees. Acknowledging achievements also fosters a culture where people feel valued and empowered. And I believe that as leaders, we have the responsibility to make this recognition intentional, in a meaningful way. So our people understand that their work is not about like completing a task, but it's part of a bigger puzzle, and it's part of our larger vision. And I really love how you phrase it in Gusto. For you, it's very clear. You have your, I know, your business why, but you have also your beyond the business why, which is, in your case, it's giving access as OneDrop. It's access to safe drinking water to people. So I think it's also important to acknowledge that positive impact is not in contradiction with business and with making a profit and with having a very successful business as you have in Gusto. So these things can come very close together, and it can. There is a concept called conscious capitalism, and
Tell
I
me
think
more.
yeah, I think it's where these two sides of the business walking like are in parallel. And yes, you are having a great business, you are having profits, and you are having a very solid company, but you don't forget the impact side. And the impact side in your case comes through OneDrop and through other collaborations that you have. And don't forget the planet either. We only have one planet, so it's like the three elements, like company, profit, then the social part, and then the world or planet part. And if you find this balance, is where in the center is where you find this concept of conscious capitalism.
Mm-hmm. When we started our partnership back in 20, I think it was 2014, with OneDrop, a large part of that vision was to build purpose into the organization, so that customers that we were doing business with felt a connection to kind of what we were trying to achieve, right, both in building recognition programs internally for their organizations, but also that as they were participating, or their folks were recognizing people internally, it was having a kind of a broader impact through kind of our partnership with the OneDrop Foundation. What we didn't kind of like strategize or plan for was the impact that was going to have internally on, at the time we were a very small team. But over time, as we've kind of grown the organization, there's probably no interview that I sit in on that I don't have candidates say like, hey, love the initiative that you've got with OneDrop, and I'd really, kind of love to be part of that journey. And so, for the HR folks in our audience, so we've, primarily got kind of HR people listening to um, the webinar here, the impact that, kind of tying your organization to some giving initiative or larger purpose can have both on the customer side, but on your employee base is dramatic. Can you talk about? I mean, you obviously have a partnership with us. What other partnerships does OneDrop have, and how, what stories can you share about the impact that those partnerships are having on, other employee bases?
Yeah, so I think first of all, I think it's important to recognize that we are all looking for a purpose, and I think the work environment has evolved, and post COVID, even more dramatically. We want, as humans, we want to feel that our work, or if I'm going to spend 7.8 hours a day working for a company or an organization, I want to find meaning in that. I want to find that purpose, or find a portion of the purpose that I'm seeking in my life. And I think work, we spend more than three quarter, more than one third of our days working. So, and it's even more true for the younger generations. I think they are not looking only for a job or for a position or for something. They are looking for meaning in their job. So I think Sky, recognition and having a clear purpose in an organization can be a tremendous asset in terms of the sustainability of the company, because you can have your corporate secrets, but the other very important part for a successful company, it's people. And if you can attract the right people that aligns with your values and with your purpose, then you are building a culture, an internal culture that will help make companies and organizations even more successful. So I think it can be a part of an advantage, a very clear advantage for companies for doing this. And to answer to your question about what other companies we work with, so with you guys, it's great, and I think you were able to match the purpose very easy and in a very clear way. So there's no doubt of what you are doing. We partner with other companies, like much bigger companies, maybe in terms of scale, like a corporation in Mexico called FEMSA, and for them it's important also to show the impact to their team. This company is very particular because they have been around for 130 years.
Hmm.
And since the very beginning, the founders were very clear that they wanted to have this impact in the world, not only making profit. So they wanted to have an impact in their people, positive impact in their people. This is the first company that gave full private insurance to their employees, private health insurance to their employees, with dedicated clinics for their people. So they understood 130 years ago that taking care of your people and having a clear purpose, other than just making profit, it was gonna be it was important, and they keep doing it. And they showcase of course they are very big, so they have many partnerships, but they showcase sometimes the partnership with OneDrop in Latin America to provide safe drinking water in communities across the continent. So it can be at every scale. It doesn't matter if you're a small company, medium, a giant. I think you can bring that purpose, and the way you communicate it to your people, to your employees, can help you attract talent, retain talent, and of course avoid how do you say that, avoid turnover,
Hmm.
in a company, and that in the bottom line that saves you a lot of dollars.
For sure, right? I mean, it's. I think We all know how expensive it is to go out and kind of recruit and train and onboard, and who knows if there's not 100% batting average there in terms of bringing people in and having it always work out. And so if we've got great people on the team, let's do everything we can to kind of retain them, and providing meaningful work, providing kind of a sense of purpose can go a long way. And like you mentioned, kind of definitely with the younger generations. Uh, what sort of ideas do you have, Ernanek, around kind of like the manager, right? Let's say I'm kind of an HR person, and my organization maybe doesn't have some kind of broader initiative in place yet, but I'm trying to help my managers get better at kind of bringing more purpose into their team's work, but they're not really kind of sure where to begin. How would you think about kind of advising those younger managers that are trying to kind of drive a sense of purpose?
I will, yeah. And then I want to ask you a question. Is it valid? Can I'm gonna answer, but I think you have a lot to say in this topic as well. I think listening is key. You need to understand what motivates people, what is like in that culture that you are building as manager or as a leader in a company. What really motivates your team other than completing their task and achieving milestones and moving as teams to achieve business objectives. But I would say, listen, ask questions to them. What matters to you? Is it more like climate change? Is it more community things that you can really touch and feel because you are part of that community? What does really matter for people? I think this can help spark meaningful conversations with the team and understand their understand what their purpose. And sometimes it's difficult for people to define their own purpose. So if you just spark these conversations, people will start thinking. And I would say something that it's very simple. It's find a partner. You don't like you guys, you did it. Like you were small, like back in 2014, but you had clarity that you wanted to have an impact beyond your business. And you looked for OneDrop like 11 years ago. And we've been building that partnership together, and we've been walking that path together. And so my invitation is go out there. Once you have clarity from your teams, go out, look for organizations that are doing good work in the community or in the cause that interests or that it's important to your people, and start building these partnerships. Talk to them. How can we build this partnership? How can this be bi-directional partnership where all of us we benefit from it? And you will, you will find that people and organizations are looking also to build these partnerships with the private sector and with the organizations such as Guusto or some of the people that it's in the audience listening to us. So I think it's that invitation. And something, a concept that I want to introduce here is also the intrapreneur concept.
Hmm.
In organizations, there is usually people that is willing and that is really engaged in community, and they want to do more. And if you just create this space for them and show support and enable them to act, you'll have like your champions inside. You just need to follow your champions, enable them, nourish them, and build with them because they have many ideas. I think people out there they are we are just craving for having an impact. Just
Mm-hmm.
let's enable people. I think listen, enable.
Well, funny you mentioned listening. It is the first core value here at Guusto. We really encourage our teams to listen to their colleagues, right, and actively listen and hear the words and hear the the things that they're talking about, and then also listening to customers and what are the challenges that our customers are facing, and it can just drive so much insight into what path you should be following. I like your concept though that it's not all on the HR team or the leadership team to just figure this grand kind of strategy out and push it down into the organization. There can be a lot of really motivated, really passionate people within the organization that can kind of drive this forward. So, starting with listening, with some surveys, with hey, what's happening right now? What sort of resource groups do we have kind of already going where there seems to be a lot of activity, and does that line up with kind of the organization's broader kind of purpose or sense of why? Can we build on that rather than just kind of like pulling something kind of out of thin air? Like,
I think it's I believe it's easier and simpler because then you don't need you don't need to push anything. It will happen naturally, and you don't need to convince people. People will convince the company. I think it will be the other way around, and it's easier. It in a if the ideas come from your teams, if ideas come from people that it's out there every day, then you don't need to convince them
mm-hmm,
because they are the ones that thought about this, that and that they are going to be your champions. They're going to be your champions along with I think human resources and leadership. They will still need we have a role to play, but a lot of our role is enabling. I see a leader in my mind. It's someone that it's at service of others. So how can you be at service of your team to uncover what they are doing already in their personal lives to find that purpose, and how can you just um, empower them, and yeah, how can you empower them and catalyze that movement that might be already happening inside some organizations.
well, I think it's an interesting area where now there's a bit of overlap with recognition and how recognition can kind of like really fuel that meaningful work, right? And so as a leadership team, have we empowered our managers to recognize folks that are kind of driving those initiatives forward, right? And can we shine a light on that work? Because it is providing kind of a broader sense of purpose to a number of team members, right? And so, often we'll see with customers as they're rolling out recognition programs, it can be really successful if within a cohort of folks they create a lot of adoption, and they've got a strong kind of sense of culture either at a location, an apartment, or a region, or what have you. But being able to kind of like then shine a light on that and the impact that it's having on that team, being able to attract talent and really engage talent, whether they're getting higher customer service scores, or and then finally kind of retention, right? And so if we can kind of really shine a light on that work and the impact that it's having, it will naturally kind of spread throughout the organization.
Well, that's I think that's natural, and that helps keep building your culture. So if you have a culture of recognition, where when you are able to recognize in a formal but also in an informal way, like it can be like a thank you very much, it was a great job, and this, and when you go concrete, I think people get like they connect more. It's like it was a great job. With this, we will be able to do this because this is part of a bigger puzzle. And once we solve this bigger puzzle, then we are responding to our purpose. So it's very important. That's very like informal, no? And there are other ways of formal recognition that organizations can provide. No, I mean, you guys are a perfect example of a platform dedicated to support teams, to provide meaningful recognition to teams. No? And also, I believe a lot also in peer-to-peer recognition. It doesn't need to come always from the manager or from a leader in the organization. At OneDrop, we have this peer-to-peer opportunity to recognize, and it's great. Like people send them messages through a platform, and then you open. It's like a letter. It's a software. You open it, and it's like it unpacks in front of your eyes, and there you have like, and then there is like a little line on what are you recognizing on that person, and then you have the opportunity to develop a little bit more. So it's a nice way also of peer-to-peer recognition. This also can be used by leadership, but a lot of peer-to-peer recognition happens, and that is very valuable as well. I think it's
Well, for sure. I mean, it's hard for leaders to see all of the work that's happening, right? Especially in distributed workforces, if you're working remotely, but even in kind of, we work a lot in kind of frontline environments. And so you can imagine hospitals or manufacturing facilities. The manager can't see everything that's happening all the time, right? And so often, some of that work just goes kind of unrecognized, and if we're empowering kind of peers to recognize each other, and that doesn't necessarily need to be monetary either, right? Like, in fact, we see a lot of programs that aren't overly successful if they try to build monetary, like small monetary components into those peer-to-peer programs where, hey, earn a neck, we're going to give you $3 every month to recognize your colleagues because we've spread our budget across the entire workforce. And you're almost kind of at a point where you don't want to send any recognition because what am I going to do with this $3? Like, I'd rather just have it all be non-monetary. And then what we've seen successful programs do is sprinkle in some rewards, whether that's, kind of recognizing folks that are consistently receiving or sending recognition. So looking at leaderboards, or another great way is just by randomly drawing some of the recognition that's been happening. And that way, everyone feels like they've always got a chance to, potentially win a bit of a prize for participating in that program. But it just creates that kind of consistent behavior, so that, recognition is not kind of happening in a big spike and then it just drops off and nobody's kind of using it on an ongoing basis.
And I think also recognition, Sky, can be also in the way you develop your teams. Recognition can mean also like giving more responsibilities to someone that is willing to know. And I want to come back to the concept of listening, and that is one of your values, deep listening. I think there is no one size fits all, and as leaders or peers, we need to be able to read what it's important to people, to be able to customize as much as we can. I know that it's not always possible, but if you know that this person wants to be recognized in weekly meetings, for instance, well, if you're going to give a recognition to that person, make sure that it's during a weekly meeting. Some others, they don't like to be protagonists of anything. So for them, it might be a more private, a more conversation, or you have a lunch with them and say, hey, by the way, I think your work last week was amazing. You did it great. You helped us doing this. So how you customize, how can we as leaders can customize that recognition? I know it's not easy because people might have teams of 200, 300, 400 people sometimes. So how do you customize there? But as listening, it's important. I think also listening to the culture, to listening to people, to understand what do they value more in recognition. And I agree with you.
Yeah, I like what you said there around kind of like growth opportunities, right? And so like a form of recognition can be managers just working with their direct teams to kind of put a plan in place in terms of like, hey, what learning opportunities can we provide to you as an organization? What additional responsibilities can we give to you that can help you grow in your career, and also kind of help the organization grow and deliver on its larger objectives, right? And tying those back to kind of the sense of purpose that we were talking about at the start. So I really like that concept of just helping your team kind of learn.
I think, and sometimes sometimes the line can be fine when it means recognition versus compensation. No, so let's make sure that things are there to recognize people when we talk about that. But developing people, like it's you're sending the message that you believe in them. It's a very strong message when you invest in people, when you promote people. Even part of recognition can be promoting people for a new role if they they show that they can have more responsibilities, that they are ready for another position. That's for me, that's one of the biggest recognitions you can give to someone in an organization, like that level of recognition of promotions. That can also be part of a career path, but I would say it's also part of recognition.
I want to leave some time here for any sort of questions, and I really appreciate you kind of taking some time while you're on the road there to join us and do the webinar. As we kind of wrap up, like what's like a small kind of immediate step that any of our kind of listeners might be able to kind of take away from today's session to kind of inspire more purpose, more meaning with their teams?
I think, I believe you can start small. You don't need, because when we think about this building more purpose and giving back and building like an impact program inside an organization, sometimes it can feel overwhelming for leaders. Like, okay, my God, on top of making sure that I'm gonna reach all my KPIs, now I need to build this program. So I would say start small and go back to the basic. Listen to your people. There might be some very good ideas already there that are emerging, and that you didn't you we might not even be aware of things. No? Like maybe there is a group of people, of employees, that are already organized, and they are going to give to work in a food bank or volunteer in a food bank over the weekend. So I would say, like, how can you find those little pearls already inside the organization and build from there. If you cannot find any, listen. Go ask questions, ask questions around, and spark these conversations with the teams, and engage with organizations, with community organizations that are already there doing the work, the impact work in the field, and propose partnerships, build a meaningful partnership with them. I think it's like, and I think a good case, it's the partnership that we have built with you guys at Guusto. That it's good for you, it's good for OneDrop, it's good for the planet, it's good for everybody. So we are tackling a lot of things here, in this partnership that we have. And um, and if you find a pearl, if you find someone that is willing to do this, and that it's this entrepreneur, I would say catalyze this person, enable the person, because this is your champion. This is the champion you are looking for building that. And then, as the company grows, or as you want to make your programs more sophisticated, that can be still done in partnership with organizations. Maybe you increase your partnership capacity. You partner with not only one but with three, or you or your program becomes very, like, more strong, like stronger with one organization to have more impact with other organization. And yeah, happy to answer any question about that. Happy and to provide ideas and brainstorm with you guys if you want to do something around this. And OneDrop, we're always there. If your cause is water, please reach out to us anytime.
Yeah, have nothing but great things to say about the partnership that we've had with OneDrop and working with your team over the years. And, it's funny when I think back to when we started, it was just kind of like a little thread that we pulled on. And like Guusto, when we launched the company, was really just a way to buy your friend a drink. And so the extension of that, we had met the OneDrop team. I think they were doing some work with a restaurant up in Whistler. And so the extension of sending somebody with a drink was like, hey, could we do some clean drinking water, kind of like built right into the core of the company. And so that's kind of how things kind of started back in the day and have evolved over the years. But I think it's a great thread to kind of leave the audience with here is, you don't have to kind of figure it out at the leadership level. There's probably within the organization some activity that's already happening, and if not, just listening to your folks on what might really kind of move the needle for them, because not only will that help to retain those folks in the organization, it will help to potentially attract similar minded
Talent.
people, talent that can kind of help to further grow the organization. So Ernanek, if folks do want to connect with you, are you active on LinkedIn? Maybe we can put that. Yeah.
I'm active on LinkedIn. This is the platform I use the most. So please feel free to reach out through LinkedIn. Very happy to connect with you. And yeah.
And the OneDrop website, just onedrop.org there.
OneDrop.org. Yeah. And you can follow us on. We're active as OneDrop. We're also active in LinkedIn and Instagram. And we have a YouTube channel as well. So there you can see the kind of work we do, and very open to build partnerships with you. And very, very grateful for the partnership we have with you at Guusto.
Fabulous. And again, if folks want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm there. And Guusto, our organization, obviously helps other companies with their recognition programs. And so if you're ever interested in learning a little bit more about kind of how we do that, looks like they've put up the demo link there. We've also got a great pitch kit that can help. A lot of HR teams are very aware of the impacts that recognition can have, but need to convince their leadership teams. Well, we can kind of help you build the business case there as well. So check that out. Ernanek, thanks again for taking the time to join us today. And we'll look forward to a continued strong partnership.
Thank you very much, Sky. It was really a pleasure having this conversation with you this afternoon.